With the popularity of crossovers now, one of the vehicles to help establish that was the Ford Edge that came out in 2007. It's been in its first generation for quite some time now, while receiving significant updates along the way, most notably in 2011 when it got its facelift. Gone is the shared platform with some Mazdas and is now an all-new platform from the ground up. So let's go ahead and see if it's a more competitive vehicle this year and check out this 2015 Ford Edge. Now, as far as styling goes on the vehicle, I think it is quite evolutionary than revolutionary. You still have some pretty nice, clean looking halogen projector beam headlights. And the overall presence of the vehicle does look very similar to the 2014 Edge. But however, when you get to the rear of the 2015 Edge, it does look quite different than the 2014 model. And you do have more modern styling touches, such as LED tail lamps, as well as this shark fin antenna on the top right here, instead of this cheap old economy car antenna. But overall, I think the styling on the vehicle is fairly conservative, and it will age pretty well. Now, our trim of the Edge we have here is the SEL trim. And it does come pretty loaded, I have to say. We have a full-on leather interior, panoramic sunroof, as well as the My Ford Touch system. Now here goes the key fob for the vehicle. Decent, stylish looking key fob here. You do have your lock, unlock, and then your remote engine start, power tailgate, and then your panic button. Now, it is the tuxedo black metallic exterior color. I really do love this color. It has decent shine to it, and I love the sparkles on it as well. Makes it very unique. You also do have smart key access on all four doors, and you also do have a keyless entry pad, which Ford has been doing for quite some time now. You also do have the ebony leather interior, or simply a black leather interior. Power driver's seat and your power recline, as well as your power lumbar too. Now, stepping on inside of the new Edge here, it's a really nice place to be honest. It's a very lavish interior, and you will find that the materials as well as the build quality have been significantly improved over the previous model year. And I think that's where they really improved on the most inside of this interior, is its build quality as well as materials. Now, you do have push button ignition. Just put your foot on the brake and hit the button to start. Now, what you're hearing there is the carryover 3.5 liter V6. Now, you do have a full leather wrapped steering wheel. It's actually quite thin, I have to say, compared to some other vehicles that you will find nowadays have really thick steering wheel rims, but this is actually quite thin by today's standards. Now, coming to your transmission, you have a 6-speed automatic. Pretty traditional stuff here, nothing too out of the ordinary, I have to say. You do have a sport mode, and then you can shift the vehicle manually via the paddle shifters. You also do have an electronic parking brake as well when you put the vehicle into reverse. That, of course, displays your rear view camera with guidance lines. And then you also do have trajectory too. And then we also do have rear parking sensors as well. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on the lights. They are automatic, and then the hazards too. Automatic driver's side window. And I'm going to go ahead and pop up the hood, check out the engine bay. Heated exterior mirrors with LED turn signal indicators. We also do have blind spot detection. 18-inch polished aluminum wheels. Pretty good looking design there. Halogen projector beam headlights. And then you also do have LEDs on this lower portion right there.
Essentially, there are three powertrains you can get on the new Edge here. One of them being is this carryover 3.5 liter V6. It produces 280 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque, with EPA estimates being 17 in the city and 25 on the highway with the all-wheel drive system. It does run on regular unleaded fuel as well. It is also naturally aspirated too.
However, this really isn't the go-to powertrain. I certainly don't recommend it. However, it's fine. It's just not the best out of the three you can get. Now, standard on all Edges, but the Sport model, is a new 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes a healthy 245 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque, with really good EPA estimates of 20 in the city and 30 on the highway. However, if it's the most power you want in the Edge, you will certainly want to go with a 2.7 liter V6 that produces 315 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. That is rated at 18 in the city and 27 on the highway. Now, the 2-liter base engine should be adequate for most people. And the only reason you would step up to this 3.5 liter V6 here is if you wanted a little bit more power, but you didn't want to get a Sport model. However, the 2-liter engine certainly provides much better fuel economy and decent amounts of power too. Now, as far as competitors go of the Edge, the real main competitor it only has is certainly the Nissan Murano. Now, as far as pricing of the vehicle goes, it starts at the base model, which is the SE trim. That starts at $28,100. Then you have the SEL, which starts at $31,500. The titanium model starts at $35,600. And then finally, the Sport starts at $38,100. Like I said, EPA estimates are 17 city, 25 highway. Total MSRP is $40,385. Coming to the rear, you have LED taillights with LED turn signal indicators and dual exhaust tips at the bottom, as well as a rear window wiper with a rear window defroster. And then you also do have a shark fin antenna on the top right there. Overall, fairly modern looking rear end. Of course, you have all of your basic power necessities: power windows, power mirrors, power door locks as well. Nice soft touch armrest. And let's go ahead and see how that 3.5 liter V6 sounds on the Edge. Very nice. Certainly has some decent grunt to it. I'd love to see how that 2.7 liter V6 sounds. Now, as far as build quality and materials go, inside of here. Like I said earlier in the video, it's much improved over the previous model year. Nice soft touch materials up here on the upper door panel, mid door panel, armrest of course. Up here on the dashboard, all nice soft touch materials, even right here too, which I was quite surprised about. And then over on this section of the dashboard, it's also in this nice padded material. Build quality is also much improved. There's not that many panel gaps inside of here. Overall, this is a fairly high quality cabin design, and I'm actually quite impressed. And it's much better than the cheap feeling design of the previous model. Now coming to the steering wheel design, fairly stylish and fairly modern too, pretty high quality looking overall. Now coming to this little pad right here, this basically controls this little section of the instrument cluster, and then over here this controls this section too. Pretty neat. And then you have your Bluetooth phone controls, steering wheel mounted audio controls, voice recognition of course, and then your cruise control buttons. Adaptive cruise control is also optional too on higher end trim levels. We also do have a manually tilting and telescoping steering wheel. Now coming to your AC controls, I love how ergonomically correct it is, and I love how my arms don't have to go very far to reach the volume knob or the tune knob either. And I love how they went with non-touch sensitive buttons. That was a pretty major complaint for the previous edges. We also do have dual zone automatic climate control here. Your fan speeds and your temperatures works so much better than the touch sensitive buttons that they had. Then you also do have your heated seats for the driver and the passenger, which are 3-staged. My only minor complaint is that I wish the buttons were a little bit bigger for the AC controls. Overall, it's a much better improvement over the other AC controls on the other edges. Coming down here, you have your little storage compartment. You will find 2 USB ports, as well as a SD card slot and your auxiliary input. Certainly won't run out of your media options there. You also do have Microsoft Sync too. Cup holders down here. And then center console. Very, very deep center console here. And then you also do have a 12-volt power outlet too. And a little tray. Also, one thing I really do love about the center stack of the new Edge is how clean and simple it looks. It's not over cluttered with a lot of buttons. Coming up there, you have an auto-dimming rearview mirror, interior illumination lighting, and then you also do have a panoramic sunroof. Gives the cabin a much more airy feel. Then you also do have a powered sliding shade. It's also one-touch automatic, which is pretty neat. But then you can also adjust it to your liking too, even the shade. Coming up here, you also do have a little storage cubby right there. It's actually really hidden, to be honest. As far as seating comfort goes, these are certainly very, very comfortable seats here. Decent amount of side bolstering. Thigh support is excellent. I would certainly take this vehicle on a long road trip. It just has the nice right amount of support and a decent amount of cushion to the seats too. As far as visibility goes out of the Edge, it's okay. Out of the side glass area on the front windows, outward visibility can be a little bit better. Rearward visibility is actually a little hard to see out of due to that seat pillar, but at least we do have blind spot detection, which is kind of trickling down onto lower trim levels of the Edge now. It's much more accessible now, much more affordable as well. Now coming to the main head unit here, we have the My Ford Touch system. And we've seen this many times before, and it pretty much does carry over largely unchanged over the previous Edge. However, I wish they did have Ford's new Sync 3 interface that they're going to put on their vehicles later this year. That would have been much better than this My Ford Touch system. It's pretty much the same thing we've seen since it came out around in 2010, 2011. But basically, it's separated into 4 main corners. You have your phone and then your digital clock right there too.
Search for sync on your device and select sync once it is found.
Coming to your phone, you could pair up your Bluetooth device, and then you can have a little quick dial pad and then have your contacts stored on there. All the basic stuff for a Bluetooth system. Coming to your audio, that's over on this little corner right here. You have your AM, FM, Sirius satellite radio, CD player, which a lot of vehicles are dropping nowadays. You have your USB port, Bluetooth, streaming audio, SD card slot, and then your auxiliary input. Lots of different media options. And then you have your navigation, but you have to insert an SD card for that. Then your climate right there, if you don't want to operate it by these controls. You have your different zones, fan speeds. It's a dual zone. Coming to your settings, you have your display, clock, different vehicle settings like the vehicle health report, camera settings, many different settings you could change. Then you have your information, which gives you your services, Sirius Travel Link, and then different apps too. Overall, the responsiveness of this touchscreen is okay. It's much better than how it used to be way back when it was first introduced, but the system is getting a little long in the tooth. I would love to see the Sync 3 come out on the new Edge, but hopefully they will put that on the 2016 Edge. Now, coming to your instrument cluster, basically this is all mechanical right here. This is a speedometer, and then right there on the left side you have a little color display. You can have your RPM gauge right there, and then it also gives you your fuel gauge too. Then your trip odometer. Then you have your distance till empty. Then it gives you information about your all-wheel drive system. Then you also do have a digital speedometer if you don't want to use that. Coming over there, that's basically like a little mini My Ford Touch system. You can change your different radio station, your different audio sources. Then you can view your navigation, and then phone, call someone from there too. And then you have your exterior temperature readout, as well as a little digital clock down there too. Then right there you have what gear you're in. Little storage cubby right there, coin box. Now as far as driving the Edge goes, I have one minor complaint, and that's the transmission. It can be a little late to downshift when more power is needed. However, that's just a minor complaint. Overall, this is actually one of the best crossovers to drive. The handling is pretty precise overall. Now, it's no sports sedan, but it's certainly on point, and you can feel for really where the vehicle is trying to go. Not to mention, this is a very, very comfortable riding vehicle, and it has a very supple ride quality, very, very comfortable. And it feels better than even some of Lexus's newer vehicles, which is pretty impressive. Much better than the Lexus NX crossover. So overall, driving the 2015 Ford Edge is certainly a treat. And power from the 3.5 liter V6 we have here is certainly adequate for most daily commutes. And there's certainly not an anemic feeling of power here. And the fuel economy isn't all that bad either. Now coming up here, you also do have your garage home link, and then the headliner is also really nice and plush too. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Let's go ahead and check out the rest of the vehicle. Build quality and materials do follow through in the rear. Very impressed here. Nice soft touch materials on the upper door panel, mid door panel, and armrest. Now sitting back here, I have the driver's seat to where mine would be at. I'm about 6 foot, and I have a decent amount of leg room, and there's a decent amount of headroom too back here. We also do have rear air vents, dual map pockets, and a 110 volt power outlet, as well as a 12 volt, then a little storage cubby. Then you have a rear center armrest with cup holders. The seats themselves are decently comfortable, however I am lacking a little bit of thigh support. We also do have LED interior lights back here too. Alright. We also do have a power tailgate. Now as far as cargo capacity goes, it's certainly top of the class. The rear seats do fold down to maximize cargo space, of course. And then you can fold down the rear seats with just the push of a button. We also do have a 12 volt power outlet back here. Then there goes your spare tire. Overall, decent amount of cargo capacity. Powered passenger seat with manual recline. You also do have a 12 volt power outlet right there too. I also forgot to mention this really cool little neat storage cubby right there. Glove box compartment, nice and damp. So with its nice blend of driving dynamics, style, power, luxury, and technology, the 2015 Ford Edge is a great mid-size crossover. So remember that this is Cameron Birch from Cameron's Car Reviews.